My slideshow is on Jacqueline Woodson. Jacqueline Woodson is an acclaimed American author whose work includes novels, poetry, and children's books. Born in Columbus, Ohio in 1963, she spent her early life in Greenville, South Carolina, but at the age of 7, moved to Brooklyn. Her experiences growing up in both the South and the North, right after the Civil Rights Movement, has an influence on her stories. Her writing explores themes of identity, belonging, and the power of family connections. Jacqueline's interest in writing began when she was young. Though she had difficulties reading and writing from dyslexia, she was an avid reader and found a sense of purpose creating her own stories. She talks about how libraries were important in her childhood and how books allowed her to discover different worlds. Woodson started writing at the age of 7. She became a writer because she noticed the books she read didn't include characters who looked like or had experiences like her. As an African American, she didn't see her own life reflected in stories.
The work I do is considered young people's literature, but I like to think it's for all people who are curious and thinking about the world and thinking about how they can have an impact on it. My name is Jacqueline Woodson, and I'm a writer. When I look back on my childhood, one of the memories that comes to front and center of my brain is being in a classroom and going through book after book after book and seeing no character that looked like me or that had the experiences that I was familiar with. I specifically knew that myself, my voice, my body, my family, my community was of value in the world, and I didn't understand why we weren't reflected in the pages of literature. I think it's really important to have literature that's specific to young people because it's important that they see themselves in the narrative, that they feel like someone or some character or some author or some story is speaking to them specifically and by extension sees them. If we want to build a better world, we have to represent it honestly and show young people their value and the value of everyone else walking through this world, regardless of their gender or their sexual identity or their race or their economic class. I think we don't tell the truth when we think we're protecting young people from something by not showing them parts of the world and parts of the way people live. I think it's great to have books that respect young people and talk of these experiences in a safe and hopeful way. They're looking for answers. They're looking for experiences that mirror their own experiences or experiences that they don't understand at all and they want to understand. And I think it's important that we let them have that journey through literature. The word
Jacqueline began her writing career in the early 1990s and has written over 30 books. She wanted to make sure that other children wouldn't feel left out of stories as she did. All of her books features diverse characters and stories showing how everybody's story is important. She believes including characters of different backgrounds, especially those not commonly found in books, give children a chance to see themselves in literature. In her book Visiting Day, a young girl visits her dad in jail with her grandmother. It shows the routine many children with incarcerated parents go through to hold families together. The Day You Begin, which is a popular beginning of the year read aloud, addresses being different and the bravery required to connect with others despite those differences. Her book Each Kindness is a sad yet powerful story about the importance of kindness, told from the perspective of the bully. It shows how kids treat each other and delivers a strong message about being kind. Jacqueline was inspired to write this book after observing a similar situation in her daughter's classroom. It made her reflect on her own childhood and the times when she wasn't kind. This is another great read aloud for the classroom. Woodson's middle grade books discuss important topics in ways that kids can understand. She writes about family, figuring out who you are, and dealing with racism. Her stories help readers see the lives in the characters as well as lives different from their own. Brown Girl Dreaming is Woodson's memoir, told through poetry. It captures her childhood growing up as an African American in the 60s and 70s. It's a portrayal of her family, cultural heritage, and experiences as an African American during a time when society was divided. In Locomotion, she tells the story of a young boy who uses poetry to cope with the loss of his parents. Her books help readers learn about tough topics in gentle ways. She wants her readers to feel connected and find hope from her stories. Woodson has also written several books for adults, drawing on experiences from childhood and adolescence. Jacqueline has been recognized with numerous prestigious awards and honors for her literature. The Hans Christian Andersen Award is one of the highest international recognitions given to authors and illustrators of children's books. The Coretta Scott King Award, which he has won multiple times, honors outstanding African American authors, demonstrating appreciation of African American culture in children and young adult books. When she was awarded the National Ambassadors for Young People's Literature in 2018, her focus was on those who are often forgotten, including children in detention centers and low poverty schools. She'd share her books and talk about how important stories are. She wanted them to know their voices and stories are important and how reading and writing can offer hope and a way to express themselves. Brown Girl Dreaming has won New York Times bestseller, National Book Award, Coretta Scott King Award, Newbery Honor, and the NAACP Image Award. Before and After, winner of the Coretta Scott King Award and NAACP Image Award. The Day You Begin and Harbor Me, both were New York Times bestsellers. Feathers, Shoei, After Tupac and Dee Foster, and Each Kindness are all Newbery Honor winners. After receiving Sweden's Astrid Lindgren Memorial Award, known as the Little Nobel Prize, Jacqueline used the winnings to open Baldwin of the Arts, named after the writer James Baldwin. A 4.5-acre homestead in upstate New York offers artists and writers of African, Asian, Indigenous, Latinx, and dual heritage backgrounds a place to focus on their work, free of charge. It supports creativity and encourages artists to explore important social issues, continuing Baldwin's legacy of addressing deep themes through art. Jacqueline Woodson's background helps her write real stories about life and the experience of people who often feel left out. Her books talk about what it's like to grow up in black in America. Her stories connect with readers who can relate to the characters, but also teach others who might have different experiences. She believes everyone's story deserves to be told, and that children need to see themselves positively portrayed in books and media. Jacqueline's background and personal experiences help her create diverse and impactful stories that connect with readers and backgrounds of all ages. You can pause the video now to scan this QR code for teaching resources from Woodson herself. And here are my references. Thank you for learning about Jacqueline Woodson. I hope this inspires you to read her amazing books.